What's up, y'all, and welcome into the Jack Vita Show. I'm coming to you live from Nashville at an Airbnb here. As you guys can see, I'm not in my normal studio. I am with my best friend, best friend, Stephenie LaGrossa Kendrick. Welcome to the show.
I am so lucky. I'm the luckiest girl in the world, Jack, to be your best friend. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's great to be back.
It's the Jack and Stephenie show. So glad to have you guys joining us once again. We're recapping the 9th episode of the Traitors today, and our good friend,
another
Sandra.
Really good friend, really good friend.
I've never met her before, but she's my good friend. Sandra Diaz-Twine joining the show in about a half hour. So we're going to get Sandra's take on everything, the two-time winner of Survivor.
That's right.
She's been doing really well on this show, and she's going to have a lot of insights. Before that, Steph and I are going to recap this episode. We're going to talk all things Traitors. Before we do that, I'm just going to ask you guys to subscribe to this channel if you guys are liking the content. A lot of you guys are not subscribed, so please hit subscribe and then leave us a comment, because next week it's just going to be me and Steph. So I'd love to do a little more of a listener question segment there at the end of that show. So if you guys got questions for Stephenie or me or for both of us on the Traitors, Steph's questions for Steph about Survivor, we'll take those questions. So please leave them here in the comments and smash that like button. Follow Steph on Instagram. She's going live soon. So her Instagram is at Steph_LaGrossa_Kendrick. That's the unfiltered bonus content from the Jack Vita show. Steph's going to do some lives. All right, Steph, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Are you ready to talk some Traitors?
I'm ready. I watched the episode last night. I have my notes, and I'm ready to get to it.
Perfect. So I guess we can just go chronologically today. We'll try doing that because we've done a different couple formats. Sometimes we go chronologically, sometimes we just jump all over the place. But we're going to recap this episode in order of events. So we'll start. Kate goes into the dungeon, and this was really okay. So I've been a little critical of some format stuff with the Traitors. How about the fact that the Traitors get to add a number and then murder somebody? What's up with that?
So I thought about that last night, and then I was like, oh, God, wait, they still get to murder? But here was the thing. Kate was given an ultimatum. You accept being a traitor or she murders you, which is stupid. Duh, obviously she's going to accept, which Kate was pissed about. And like you can see, she's visibly pissed about that because Kate doesn't like being given an ultimatum. Kate wants to make her own decision. Anyway, she accepts to be a traitor. So then they do get to murder. But had she said no, there would have been your murder. But yeah, they did a double. They got a double there because I guess they saved Parvati that one time. So it's all about production. It's all
so basically you save a traitor and then you get to add a traitor and then you get to murder a faithful. Well, that's real fair, I think.
Yeah, well, the Traitors definitely have a leg up, and it's continuing to go that way. But here's what I want to know. So this is episode 9. How many episodes are there? 11?
11, yeah. And then we got finale is 12. Or 12 is, 12's reunion.
Yeah, so there's 11 episodes. Reunion doesn't count. Okay. So I don't see the numbers, how this is they're going to get rid of 4 more people in 10 and 11, and 11's going to be a 2-hour probably. And then that'll be 4 gone. Am I doing the math right? And then there's going to be like 3 in the final, maybe 2. How many people are left?
9 people left. So we're going to have a cliffhanger here, which we'll talk about later. So the next episode we'll end up having 8 people.
8. Yeah.
Then they'll have a murder, and then there'll be a banishment. So then you'll have 6.
And a banishment, and there's going to be
final 4 for the last episode. If in fact we do have a banishment and a murder in the next episode, because now we've broken the rules. We can do whatever we want now. Sometimes we don't murder anybody. Sometimes we don't banish anybody.
Sometimes we add extra traitors. Yeah. And then I heard along the lines, which is interesting. So Kate gets recruited, obviously accepts because she doesn't want to be murdered. You know, she's not ready to quit yet, like she was on my season. And she then says in the what the heck is it called? I never been there.
Turret.
The turret.
Would you like to go there?
Yeah, actually, I would, because the traitors totally have a leg up. I mean, it's like ridiculous. And I think I would be a lot better at it than Kate, because we will discuss, but she is a horrible liar. I thought I was bad. She actually takes the cake. But she says, like, so how many traitors were there originally and who got recruited? So they really do think there's more than 3. She can't believe that there was only 3, like is what she alludes to. She says in the turret, where I've never been. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I've heard mention of this. And then, you know, I just interviewed Bergie here. Unfortunately, Steph wasn't able to make it that day. But Bergie, I sent him your regards. Good friend.
Oh, thank you.
Of both of ours.
You know, Jack, I'm so glad that you become such good friends with everybody you have on your show. Seriously, your friend Rolodex must be like astronomical.
I'm cracking up.
You would be terrible on reality TV, because you would think everybody's your friend and you would not be able to cut throats at all, by the way. Just saying that.
I want to be awesome at it, because I make good relationships with people.
You can't go to the end with everybody. You would be the first to go, because they would be like, this guy's way too nice and he thinks everybody's his friend and he's got to go.
I think I'd be great at reality TV. Bergie said that he thought that I believe he said that he thought that there were 4 traitors as well. I think that was the common belief within the castle. Or maybe he thought there were more. I think a lot of people thought that there were 4. I think Janela said that. So I think that, I
wonder where they got 4 from, because they told us there could be up to 5 on our season. I wonder if they told them they could be up to 4, but let's ask Sandra that when she gets on.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one for Sandra. So Kate is kind of floored by Phaedra, because the first thing Phaedra says is like, what's our strategy going forward? And Kate's like, you've been a traitor for 9 episodes. You tell me, I'm the newbie. Like, why are you asking me this?
That is so funny. Kate is like pissed. She's like, are you kidding me? She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She recruits me and expects me to come up with a plan. Oh my gosh, that was hysterical. But she really doesn't have, I guess, a strategy. Or at least that's what they show, right? And I love Phaedra, but I feel like now is the time where we're starting to see the difference between gamers versus Bravo type people, personalities. Do you know what I mean?
I think and that's where, you know, at the start of us doing this weekly recap, we created these 2 awards, the Rachel Riley Award for Best Faithful and the Cirie Fields Award for the Best Traitor. And we haven't given out a Cirie Fields Award in weeks, because, quite frankly, I don't think any of these traitors are playing the game anywhere close to at the level of Cirie. And I think we're starting to see that with Phaedra in this episode.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a lot of luck with Phaedra, because she just happens to have the Bravos on her side. But it's not really a strategic move, if you will. Like, Cirie was very strategic. She pulled in Andy and Quentin, who aren't even gamers and were basically clueless.
Well, Cirie also had the target of, we think, you know, there are a lot of people on your season and this season as well saying, we think that someone who's a traitor is someone who's been capable of lying and deceiving on TV before in one of these cutthroat games. Cirie made her money doing that on 4 different seasons of Survivor. She's one of the greats, and she still was able to overcome that. And then you've got someone like Phaedra, where they are not suspecting someone. I mean, and look, like, here's the thing. Like, I know in the comments we got a lot of fans of the Bravo shows, and we're not hating on the Bravo shows or anything like that. I'm just asking you guys to look at this critically and objectively and listen to what some of these people like Bergie are saying when they're coming off the show, and they're talking about how they're all suspecting people like Dan and Sandra and Parvati and Trishelle and CT as the type of people that are capable of being traitors, because they're coming from this world of competition shows, and no one has these housewives and these Bravo people on their radar because they don't have a history of doing that.
Right. It's another good question I'm going to ask Sandra, because Sandra is a gamer, and I'm finding it hard to believe she does not suspect Phaedra at all. So I'm going to ask her that. But anyway, Phaedra doesn't seem to have any sort of strategy. She says to Kate, so what do you want to do? And Kate is completely and totally annoyed that she would even have the audacity to even ask a brand new traitor that. And after throwing Trishelle out there, throwing Kevin out there, it ends up being Kevin. Thank God, because Trishelle actually is amazing. Like, she's smart. She's playing the game. I mean, they probably should have got rid of Trishelle, to be honest, but she's sticking around. So from a viewer standpoint, I am so grateful. Kevin, and bless his heart, and I don't know him from Adam, I didn't even realize he was missing.
Well, Berge said that he thought Kevin may have been a traitor because of how, like, his game theories were just so ridiculous they didn't make sense. I think he was similar to Quentin, or like where he's throwing so much stuff out there and he's just not vibing with what's happening. So
kind of like Christian too, right? Like, he was all over the place, but wasn't he loyal at least to the most faithful of the faithful?
He was. Berge was weird. Was like suspicious of him, but he was in the group. They used his vote, and they needed the votes. They didn't have enough, unfortunately, for them. They do decide that they're gonna have to murder somebody from this group. I believe that they keep Peter around because they figured out this idea that we could use Peter as a potential traitor target. Because he looks suspicious working with Parvati, we can spin that and use that against him in the next banishment, which they do later. And they, for whatever reason, they decide to murder Kevin instead of Trishelle, which, by the way, Trishelle had a shield. So if they had murdered Trishelle...
That would have been awesome. It would have been blocked.
It would have been blocked for the second time. So I think they were probably thinking that Kevin was the safest bet. Although I do kind of wonder, did they get some kind of leak there? How did they? Because I would think that Trishelle would be the person you'd want to murder here. So why did they? Did they think she had a shield for some reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to ask Sandra that. Why Kevin, not Trishelle? Because she is onto them. So that is interesting. And I'm sorry that I missed Bergie's interview, by the way. I would have loved to have met him and become his best friend as well. I'll become his best friend on the cruise. I'll meet him on the cruise. Have a good time. Yeah.
You guys can't wait. Actually, you know who his real best friend is?
Who?
Janelle. Him and Janelle are tight.
They're really close. Yeah, I can see that. They're doing a lot of press together.
Yeah. He told me, he's like, we got an event in Chicago in a few weeks. You want to come out? Good. And I'm like, I'll be in Arizona. Sorry, but that'd be fun. Maybe another time.
That's awesome. Good for them. Yeah, I see that. They do a lot together. I can see on her Instagram, she updates a lot of stuff with him. So he's super sweet.
Awesome guy. Great interview with Berge, guys. Check it out if you haven't. We hope to have some more of those kind of interviews as the season winds down here. People can have a little more. There's a little more that they can say once they're off the show, and especially when the show ends. But then we get to breakfast, and Kate is acting super shady.
She just like, I don't know what happened. I was not expecting that. And it's funny, I think back to my season and she was almost so like loud and like almost obnoxious. Like, she was a traitor to the faithfuls. What she's calling Peter, basically that was her on season 1. And I kept saying, like, she's got to be a traitor. There's got to be, a female celebrity type, because I was trying to protect Suri. And Kyle Cook was like, no, that's just her personality. And I was like, well, then she's a really shitty people. And
stuff.
Oh, is that a word I can't say? Oh, whoops. Sorry to make you do extra work, Jack. So now thinking back, I'm like, oh gosh, she really was a faithful. That was just her personality. Like, now she's totally obvious, I feel like. And MJ is brilliant to call her out right away. Like, right at breakfast, she's like, something with your face. And Suri did that to me on Snake in the Grass immediately. When he announced the game, she was like, there's something about your face. Because if you're not a good liar, you can tell almost immediately. Like, that is a very hard trait to be good at, I think. And she is like a mess at breakfast. Like, I cannot believe what a mess she is.
Well, I do want to give you a little bit of credit, because part of snake in the grass was that you had the added anxiety of playing with Suri. You knew Suri was going to be
that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because when they win a clue, it's a clue about the person who the snake is and their personal life. Suri knows me and my personal life. So immediately I was like, oh gosh, they cannot win any challenges and get a clue. Suri's going to know right away. So that was why I was fully a mess. Like if I was in the game of Traitors and got recruited and I think I would play it way more cool than Kate. I don't know. Maybe that's just editing. I wonder. Like I cannot believe she got like that. She doesn't say a word the whole episode hardly, except in her interviews. Like she barely speaks.
Yeah, she had a really she looked stoned was like the way she looked at breakfast. It was very strange. And MJ calls her out in front of everybody. And it seems like MJ might turn into a major player on the season. And we got to give MJ credit here.
Yeah, I'm secretly hoping MJ, we'll get to it at the end, but she's the reason that the vote goes the right way. But I don't think it's happening yet, but I think it comes into play later. But Kate does say, this is why I don't smoke pot, because I'm way too paranoid. And she looked like she was smoking pot. She really did at breakfast. And I crack up because Phaedra, you can tell whenever she's nervous, she eats. So every single breakfast, when it starts getting heated, seriously, she's like, ooh, can you pass me the salmon? Ooh, this salmon looks good. Like you can tell she's starting to get nervous, so she's gonna go for the food. Oh my gosh. So funny. But Kate with her one-liners again. Peter's put the dick in dictator.
And Peter comes in, and before that, Kate and Sandra are talking about they think Peter's a traitor, and I think CT ends up coming in, and he sort of joins in on that, which ends up leading to a scene in a few minutes later where Peter and CT have this conversation, and CT is fully convinced that Peter's a traitor. And you know what? I want to say, on this topic, Peter is really a scrappy player. I think he'd be a very good Survivor, a Big Brother player, because he seems to, find a way when he's cornered to somehow persuade people. It might not fully work in this episode, but CT ends up coming around and going from, he's fully convinced that Peter's a traitor to now he's voting to save Peter.
Yeah, he plays it really good. He plays it, he's calm, he's collected, he's not emotional. It's almost like he's played these games before, and he really hasn't because he's only been on The Bachelor. So I think he does a great job. I don't know what all the crap talk is about Peter. I actually really like Peter. I think he's playing a fantastic game. I think he must have come off arrogant or he's the best faithful in the world or something on the show that turned people off. Because they can't stand him. Kate can't stand him. Sandra kind of can't stand him. CT was against him a little bit. And then, of course, all the Bravos are against him. So I wonder if he just came off a little too confident.
I think he's I feel like a good comparison is he's one of these baseball players who he hits a home run and he just chucks his bat up in the air. I think that's kind of he's a showman. And you either love the showman or you hate the showman. And if you're opposed to him, obviously Parvati didn't like him because he was going after Parvati, and Phaedra doesn't like him. And I think Phaedra's got a lot of sway with that Bravo crew. So that group obviously is not going to like Peter.
I don't see that much in him though. He does not seem that arrogant.
I don't think so. That's what they're saying. He's like.
Oh, okay. So
they're saying he's
we don't see.
They're saying that. I think Parvati was really upset. She was talking about when he would come into breakfast and sort of be like, "Yeah, my plan worked. Checkmate. Right, how about that?" Right. So there is some of that.
He was very proud of that plan, and that plan did work. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was great.
And then I guess the whole meeting, five of them or whatever, and it's can you give us a minute? Can you get out of the room? I think that would probably turn a lot of people off if you weren't in that circle.
That's the thing where you have to have numbers at the end of the day. You have got to be in the majority. You cannot win a show like this in the minority. So we got about 10 minutes before Sandra gets in. So let's touch on the challenge, because this was a big time challenge. And it'll be fun to ask Sandra about it. But This was cool. I think you would have loved this challenge if they did this on your season.
Was like, are they serious? Like, is it that hard?
This is coming from the woman who banged out like 5 of 5 targets on Oolong when you guys had that shooting challenge.
But it was a different, I get it. Like, this was a machine gun that you had to line up and press a button. And this was like a bow and arrow, you had to put something in. But I mean, and that was edited. They missed, that must have been like a 2-hour challenge. Like they missed every target multiple times. I'm thinking to myself, it can't be that hard. Like, guys, come on. And always on those, you got to shoot lower then because it moves when it triggers. And I don't even know. I'm not a hunter. I don't have a gun. I have never shot a gun. Like, you should just know it's going to jerk, right? So, like, aim lower.
Well, I have shot a gun, and that's what you got to do. So you even know that, and you haven't shot a gun. Right. I think that, to your point, you kind of have to think about the people that are left. And I mean, like, if Johnny Bananas is still there, and if Dan, and if Rachel's there, and you're there, like, the people that are left aside from CT aren't like competition beasts. Now, Trishelle's been great in the competitions.
Yeah,
CT's
like she got up
really
CT. I was like, they're definitely going to get it. Maybe Sandra. Yeah. I was like, what is going on? Why is this taking so long? Yeah. I thought maybe it was rigged. I was like, are they really not going to hit a target? Like, is this challenge ever going to end? We need to ask Sandra if it's really that hard.
Phaedra gave a lot away in this episode. And you know what I liked about this? This was kind of like a similar dynamic to 2 weeks ago. It wasn't a challenge, but instead of the banishment, we had the like team building exercise where they light each other's torches. That's what I call it, because I thought it was kind of silly. But the good thing with that challenge is it gives you an idea of where do people stand. Well, this is an actual challenge where they're doing that. They've done this on Survivor, so this is going to be a giveaway of who's targeting who, and they end up doing some kind of system where they're like, okay, we're all going to kind of shoot at the same targets because we're going to try to make money. Obviously, you're not going to shoot at your own target, so you're going to aim at somebody else's. And all of a sudden, Phaedra just like does a dead giveaway and says, like, she just decides, I'm going to start firing at Trishelle's.
Yeah. Total. That just told the tale completely. And I absolutely loved that CT spelled it out and didn't even spell it out. He drew it out and was like, you know.
Yeah, he did. Literally.
Literally on the chalkboard, which was smart. And he was like, basically was saying, I'm team Phaedra all the way, but you just did this, changed the whole plan. And that was a dead giveaway. That is like traitor behavior. And that was perfect. And I think that right there got a lot of heads spinning and wheels turning. And I think the people that aren't in that tight with the Bravos, like an MJ, maybe something will connect there. I don't know. I was thinking he was going to sway Sandra with that.
Yeah.
Because Sandra is a very logical person. And although she seems very faithful to Phaedra and that crew, Sandra plays a game. And Sandra's there to win. And she is a faithful. And if a traitor's left in the end, she's going to lose. So I was thinking to myself, oh, wow, Sandra might flip now.
Well, Steph, it looks like our guest and woman of the hour is here and ready to join us. So why don't you want to give a nice little warm introduction for who's joining us here?
I am so excited to welcome the queen of Survivor, the truest queen of Survivor, and one of my OGs, Sandra.
Sandra, welcome to the show.
Look, and Stephenie, I'm wearing a shirt. Omar sent it to me. So
I love it. Who sent it?
Omar. Give Omar. You know Omar.
I love that. Yes, and I love him. See, told you guys, she's the queen. Here she is.
She's the queen.
Thank you for inviting me, because Jack could have sent me 1,000 messages and I would have never responded. So the only reason I'm here, let's be real, Stephenie sent the invite.
Hey, thank you for coming on and talking to us. I know you are so busy. You are one of the stars of this Traitors too. I'm loving watching you. And we have a million questions for you. So thank you for coming on.
All right. So give them to me. I'm ready.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead,
First things first. Sandra, when was the first time that you remember meeting Stephenie?
On Heroes versus Villains.
And it was brief.
Of Heroes versus Villains, because I don't know that we did any charity events together before then, Stephenie.
Did I do?
As a matter of fact, the only people I knew when I did Heroes versus Villains was Rupert, and I didn't know anyone else. I didn't know anyone else, not Courtney, not Boston Rob, anybody. Just saw them on TV.
Okay. Because that's what I didn't know if I did an event with you down in somewhere in Florida. I had just gone through a divorce and I could not remember. It was like a time in my life I don't even like really remember. I have a terrible memory anyway, but I couldn't remember. I'm like, was Sandra there? And it was like, I would have kind of hung with you in passing, or I'm like, was that something after Heroes Villains? So, okay, we met Heroes Villains for the first time ever, right? And I was there for like 5 seconds. So we didn't even really get to meet each other until after when we hung out.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, was the event Cocoa Beach? Could it have been?
Yeah. Weren't you at Cocoa Beach?
That for like 4 years. So
I went once, and Big Tom was there.
Gosh, I've even roomed with Big Tom actually, but I don't remember where.
You see, like we're good at Survivor, but we don't have good memories. Okay.
Yeah. Like I've met a lot of people along the way, but I can't sit here. But I just know that I always said, when people said, "Who did you know from Heroes and Villains before playing the game?" And it was like just Rupert, and he ended up on the other tribe.
Right. Yep. And then we didn't even get to converse much because I was gone like day 6. So it's been a while.
It has. But the older we get, the better.
That's right. That's right. Older and wiser.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what other questions, Jack? Not traitors.
So we're not traitors?
Or if you have any, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do traitors. Let's talk some traitors. So
all right.
All right. So Sandra, we have so much that we want to talk about with you. First things first, let's just start with coming into this episode. Are you like locked in firmly with the Bravo group, or are you sort of playing between both sides?
I'd like to say I'm sort of playing both sides, especially when you look back at the episode where John feels that he can come and talk to me, because I had an open door policy with everyone. Peter and I had an alliance with Sheree from day one, but that kind of like fell through the wayside after Peppermint left because she was in that alliance as well. But for the most part, at this point in the game, I'm part of the leftovers and not part of the faithful of the most faithful, which Peter and Trishelle and John and Kevin are the last members of, you know?
Okay, so up until this point, though, do you really not suspect Phaedra at all, or do you a little bit?
I do suspect Phaedra, especially since Dan put it out there. Like, when I go after someone, this is who it's going to be. Like, that's the person you need to look out for. But at the same time, I'm with Phaedra.
Mm-hmm.
If Phaedra, and in my head and in a lot of people's heads, we're thinking there were 4 total traitors. There were 3 at the beginning and 1 that got recruited. So we're thinking there's 4. We already know Dan. We already know Parvati. We're thinking it's Phaedra, but who is this other 4th person?
Okay.
So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, we know it's Phaedra, but Phaedra, I feel, is my friend. Phaedra checks in with me every day, all day. Why would I want to let Phaedra go? Why would I want Phaedra to be banished? That's not good for my game, because then who else is pulling the strings? Are they even on my side?
So what are you thinking here? If Peter is the 4th and Phaedra might be 1 too, let's get rid of him first, and then you can circle back with Phaedra?
Well, I felt like even if Peter wasn't a traitor, he was a horrible faithful, because why is he wanting to make a deal with Parvati?
Got it.
You know, and from watching other franchises, the traitors do go after each other. So could he be taking them out of the picture? Like, for me, it's a sticky situation, because then again, he's part of the faithful of the most faithfuls. He doesn't care if I'm here or not. So why should I care if he's here or not, whether he's a traitor or a faithful?
Okay. Okay.
So would you say that you, at this point, feel more confident that Phaedra is a traitor, but you'd rather get out that other traitor first?
Yes, I actually, when I go into my confessionals, which is kind of weird that I'm not seeing, I coined this phrase, my traitor angel. I thought Dan was one of my traitor angels protecting me. Then Parvati was still in the game. I feel like she was one of my traitor angels protecting me. And now I feel that my only traitor angel left in this game at this point is Phaedra, because I don't know who the other person is. But I will say this, watching the clip of me at the church and CT now coming back to the castle with so much doubt, I realized that I screwed up royally on episode 9, because even as a faithful, you don't want there to be any suspicion on you. And CT listening to me say to Phaedra, take out Trishelle,
That's right.
set me up for what I believe is now like traitor behavior, that I don't know, like that suspicion is upon me. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking for that fourth traitor. I'm looking outside and they're looking inside. That's how I feel after watching that episode. But to go back to Phaedra, she was my traitor angel, because I don't know who this fourth traitor is.
I get that. Suri was that for me as well. I didn't say that term, but I know exactly what you're saying and how you feel. And I was the same way, because, hey, listen, it's good to have somebody on the inside too, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm threatened by her at all.
No, she's going to keep you around. And she doesn't think you're going to, nix her. So it's like the perfect thing. Okay. Well, that kind of answers a lot of questions, but they do show that. Then they do show you saying, let's go after Trishelle. And once CT flips, now I worry they're going to want to come after you.
And I was thinking about it today as well. I was like, man, we totally disregarded the fact that Trishelle on several occasions was like, I've known CT for over 20 plus years. Totally forgot about that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when these people have these outside relationships that have spanned so long, anything that happens in the castle is not so important as the relationships they've had for over 20 years. Nothing supersedes that, and that left my brain for a split second. And then it's me telling Phaedra, go after Trishelle. Phaedra didn't even ask me for anything. I just simply looked and was like, take out Trishelle. And you know why? Because CT was on the leftovers, and I'm like, okay, like, let's make sure CT gets the shield. That was my thought process. But even wanting him to get the shield destroyed his credibility. And he's like, for me, and he's like, Sandra and Phaedra, traitors,
Oh, wow. So now it starts making you look guilty.
Yeah, because as I see that episode, I'm like, oh my God, he's sitting there even in the chair saying, oh my God, who do I tell this to?
Right.
And then he goes and tells Trishelle, and Trishelle is smart. She didn't pull a Janelle. Trishelle said, okay, we won't say anything about that right now. Let's focus on Phaedra.
Yes.
He didn't say, Dan, Parvati, CT, Sandra. Janelle called me out before, and now to CT, I'm looking guilty as hell.
Right. Huh. Okay.
So Stephenie, is this similar to how you were, a little bit of how you felt when you were playing, where they weren't showing all of the confessionals, where maybe you had a little bit of suspicion on Suri and you wanted Suri to try to protect you?
Oh, they didn't show. There was so much they didn't show. I mean, I never admitted, though, until later, very late in the game. Like, I've known Suri was a traitor all along, but I've been trying to protect her because I think she's keeping me safe on the inside, and I can do vice versa. And I did talk like 2 or 3 of the guys out of it because they were like adamant. They thought it was Suri. But I mean, that's how it always is. They edit and they show what they want to show. We were on to Christian, like, day 1 and 2, same with Cody. They never showed that. They actually make the traitors look like they're so smart. Do you feel like they're doing that on your season?
Well, given who the traitors are, like we don't have a Christian in the turret. Like we have Phaedra, we have Parvati, we have Dan,
Right.
but
Right.
they're still human and they've made mistakes along the way as traitors that I think could have changed the outcome of the game. For instance, like I don't, and I have to do an interview with Dan later on today. But I think it was wrong of him to call out Phaedra. I just don't understand
crazy.
why he felt the need to throw her game under the bus, because nobody was even saying her name prior to him opening his mouth. And then Parvati did the same thing as well. But I think her mistake was, so Dan's other mistake was trying to kill Bergie. Bergie was on borrowed time. And I think Parvati's mistake was to try to get Peter to become a traitor. Hey, every time somebody got banished, I was like, I would love to be a traitor.
Yeah.
But, after talking to Phaedra too, she had been burned by Dan the gamer. She had been burned by Parvati the gamer, to where it was like she couldn't trust anyone else that was considered a gamer.
So that's how she chose Kate.
Choice was Kate.
So what do you think about Kate? Does Kate not look, is that editing, or she really like doesn't say a word? She looks so like nervous and like she looks totally paranoid.
The only thing I saw about Kate that morning, the morning after she became a traitor, was that her hair looked like she hadn't brushed it. But Kate is one of those people where she says a couple of things, they're hilarious, they're funny. And then she's on about her business of, smoke breaks, like all day long, smoke break.
Okay.
So I felt like in that situation too, that Kate was always with the group that smoked, which was CT and MJ and Trishelle. Like those are the smokers, and Peter, that's the clique that's always smoking. Everybody else doesn't smoke.
Right.
So they're constantly in and out of the castle smoking. And I'm guessing talking. I'm not there.
They never show them smoking. They've got to be talking and strategizing while they're smoking.
So that's
like, they never show that. Yeah. Huh.
They don't want to send the wrong message to children.
Oh, because the Traitors is such a great game for. I'm just kidding. But I mean,
Stephenie, your hair looks fabulous. Those curls are beautiful.
Thank you. I washed it yesterday because it's going to be now for the next week. It'll be washed. I only wash it once a week.
With the right person and the right tools, I can get those curls in my hair.
Yeah, we got to blow it out with your big curls. You'll be good to go.
Yeah,
we'll do it. We'll do it on the cruise.
Okay, bring your curler.
I'll bring my curling iron. Thank you. I know usually I'm on here with a hat, sweats, whatever. So now I'm wondering though. All right. So we're getting through the episode. What other questions do we have before I get to the round table? I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay.
Why does everybody, is it Peter is too arrogant? Why is everybody like the leftovers cannot stand Peter?
Because of the closing the door situation.
Yes. Okay.
That started, and it just got worse and worse to where they'd shut the door a little bit, but there was always a crack to then straight up shutting the door. And
so just arrogant and just
the word, like MJ's like, they told me to leave, or they said, come back later. Like, so, this is my opportunity to say, okay, wait a minute. They're not getting along with that side of the house. This is all about numbers. This is how I get Sandra to the end.
Okay.
Not only with my traitor angel watching my back, or whoever the other traitor angel is. And even at the pool table, I was saying, hopefully the traitor angels are on our side and the leftovers within the 7 versus the 5, or if there's a traitor over there, our traitor angel cannot allow this traitor
you did say that
out from our group. You know,
you did say that, and you are on the right side. Yeah,
because I didn't know exactly who all I was talking to, and I thought there were 2 people. I just needed them to understand you cannot allow anyone from our group to be murdered or banished. We need to take out 2 of theirs. But when Bergie got murdered and then Parvati got banished, it was still okay because we still had the numbers. They lost 1, we lost 1, but we still had 2 more than that.
Yep. And you just gained Kate. So you were right without even really knowing you were fully right. Yep. The pool table scene was brilliant. That is going to be years to come. That's going to be around forever. I loved that. I was like, this is where she's showing she knows how to play the game.
I don't want anybody talking about Traitor Angels and me not getting credit for it, because from the beginning I've been like, Angels. I need to make sure I have a Traitor Angel, somebody that's watching out for me. Yeah. You know, that's going to protect me. So I need to be friends with every single person in this house.
That's what it is. It's also a social game, and you're so good at a social game. That's why I think you're doing so well. Absolutely. All right. So now what? So now where are we at?
So going into this round table, it seems like you've made up your mind that you're going to ride this thing out with the Bravos, with Phaedra.
No? Like MJ, me and her always said that we're going to go in there open-minded. Like if I see that the votes are swaying a specific way and that we might not have the numbers, I'm the last person that wants to be on the side of the numbers. So I always go in open-minded. And then I get a feel for what's going on at the round table, and then I make my decision, depending on what, because people start chiming in. They start getting in there. It gets ugly.
I thought you were going to flip, because once CT started doing his drawing, even though you were kind of part of the Trisha, I thought you were going to flip.
That was my fault, though. I'm just like.
I know. But if you would have flipped then, you would be in the clear. Now I'm interested to see if MJ's going to flip, but I don't think she's gonna. Don't say it, because it didn't air yet.
No.
It's the cliffhanger.
When I was doing my live, they were like, Sandra, wink like Phaedra if she gets Spanish, or Sandra smile if it's Peter. You know, like, and I'm like, oh my God, come on, guys.
She doesn't, you know what? She has those lashes, which are fabulous. And she doesn't do like a twitch. It's her lashes. She just like does the lashes constantly, even if she's not talking. So
yeah, but she does make, like, anytime we're at breakfast, she makes faces with her mouth, with her eyes. You know, she'll repeat what you say and make it just hilarious.
Oh, she does? Okay. I see she eats. When she gets nervous, she's like, she's been one of my favorites all season. But now I'm like, okay, because of course I want like the faithfuls to win. You know, because I was a faithful.
She actually asked me this morning about the cruise. She was like, what's up with this cruise? And I gave her all the details. She was like, how come nobody called me? I was like, Phaedra, we might have to put you on the next boat. She'll be about me.
I bet she'll be asked, because that second cruise is going to happen, because this one's almost sold out. And like, I mean, we're not even at a year yet. We're not even into April of this year. And they're going to do another one, and she will definitely be asked. I would love to meet her. She would be a riot.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead,
Steph. Oh my gosh. Okay.
What's your next question?
I'm still thinking. I don't know. I'm going down my list. Go ahead.
How long did
you're bruised. You still have a mark from that?
Yeah, it's fading. They put me on BioLife when I was over there, which is something like a little hold on, you really can't tell. I just have one little spot left, but you know, every day, twice a day, I'll go and wash my face and I'll rub it in to make it's like a fade cream, but it's vitamin E.
Okay. I mean, I cannot believe that it's the whole show. Like, you really whacked your head, and on my tombstone.
When the things were coming, I went to run because they were screaming. I went to run, and I caught the whole corner of the tomb on my forehead, and all I felt immediately was like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you probably had a concussion.
And if you watch it again, you see Parvati checking out my head, and then by the next morning, everyone's like, oh my God, you really did hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, I hurt myself. But it was the thrill of the game. Like, all my years of Survivor, I never got hurt like that. Well, on Australian Survivor, I kind of like messed up my ankle a little bit, like rolled it, and it was a little bit swollen, but you know, that was that. But other than that, like, I physically had, you know, it's hard to prove, hey, I've been in battle. Like, Traitors isn't easy, y'all.
No, listen, but if that was anybody else, if that wasn't somebody like you who's super tough, they would have probably been like, I need medical right away. You know it. You know it. Yeah. It's because you're tough as now and you can handle it.
I didn't expect when I woke up in the morning to see it all scabby. I'm like, oh my God, now I got to do this show for a month with this big scab on my forehead.
And it's still there. Every time you walk in, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's fading, but it's there. It'll never probably go away. And
no, because you're dark. You're like, you know, we scar dark. It'll go away over time. The face exfoliates. You'll be fine. But you're tough. I give you credit, whacking your head like that. All right. What else? What do we got for? Let's go, Jack.
I'd like to know, you mentioned Parvati. Where did you guys stand coming into this show? How much was it like? Was there really like a lot of a beef between you guys that been played up? I mean, I know like maybe a year ago you guys were going at each other on social media. Was that fun? Was that like a real thing? And then
That was 100%
where do you guys stand
real.
now?
There was no phony baloney how we felt about each other. Parvati would have been at that point the last person I would ever be in touch with for any damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, you know? And then, like I said before, you know, the minute I saw her, my smile turned into a frown. And I remember reaching across Peter and putting my finger on the glass, like thinking, I can't believe she's freaking here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then she sees me and her smile is gone. And she was right at the window. And Peppermint knew our history. Peppermint watches a lot of reality shows. And we really went into the billiard room and we said what we had to say, really brief. And then I moved on.
Right.
From that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She really wasn't with any group in the castle. Like Phaedra said, you know, like she comes and she goes. Larsa had made a comment too about Snow White coming in and leaving. And, you know, I think she tried to do the best she could with the hand she was dealt, you know, making her a traitor. You know, when you're a traitor, you got to be able to get a lot of information from different people. And she did a hell of a job being a traitor. Yeah, I wanted to be a traitor. Yeah, I was jealous. I wish they had picked me. I wish she had picked me. But I can't blame her for not picking me because we had just made up a couple of days ago. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like months ago, but it was in the castle is just days. How much can you really trust someone you've been fighting with since 2010?
I was just going to say that's so big of both of you, though, because that's so hard to do. I mean, you guys have a lot of history. You know, went through a lot of BS getting to the end of that show, and then you win. She was so close. And to not let that carry on in the game, like you could have been like day one, like out to get her and vice versa. And you guys didn't do that. So I thought that was like, you played the game.
I told her, I said, Parvati, I'm going to put this aside. If something happens, it won't be because of me. You know what I'm saying?
That's so mature and smart because you're there to play a game. You're not there to hold grudges. You know what I mean?
It's a whole different game. It's something outside of Survivor. Like we've been put in this Survivor box, and now you see that we can do other things other than Survivor. You know, you were able to do Snake in the Grass and Traitors. Like I don't want everything to only solely be Survivor. If it had been just Survivor, great. But now I know that I can do other things other than Survivor, you know, and I'm loving the Traitor. So the minute it was put behind, I honestly put it behind. And like I said, I was like, when she ended up being a traitor, I was like, oh my God, I think Parvati in some way also had my back out there. She was my traitor angel.
Probably. And I think it's, you know, yes, we did Survivor, but sometimes being on Survivor, you're not just a gamer. You can play a social game. You can play all different games. Whereas sometimes I do feel like the people that are on Bravo, not all of them, but they're not really gamers. They're just personalities. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So I think that, you know, held true for you, for Parvati, for Therese, for me. Like, you know what I mean? We have
the
a
Big
lot
Brother
of
people as well.
Big Brother and I touched on that this morning. She was like, Sandra, I really, really enjoyed myself in that castle. And I really, truly enjoyed meeting all of you guys. And I think if I was to ever play again, I said, Phaedra, you know they're going to have an all-stars. And she was like, I think if I ever played again, I think she'll be more prepared this time because now she's seen how gamers play, how we game. And she was like, and I was like, Phaedra, I can't imagine you an even more prepared Phaedra because you were the bomb. I almost said the S word.
Good job, Sandra.
Phaedra. So can you imagine Phaedra coming in with knowledge of how different games, you know, prepare herself? Okay, this is how Big Brother people play. This is how Challenge people play. This is how Survivor people play. You know, she'd be.
And she could do it because she's smart. So she's totally one of those that could do it, you know?
She is. I don't know. But you'll have an uphill battle because they will assume you're a traitor.
I know. It's true. She might still say haggis. I'm not kidding. She might. She might quit if there's bugs involved.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, Sandra. You
ahead.
mentioned going into this and seeing Parvati. Who did you expect from Survivor would also be there? Because I mean, look, they brought Steph and Sari in. There had to be another Survivor person. Who do you think might be there with you?
But never in my wildest dreams did I ever say, "Oh, it'll be Parvati." Never. I'm like, because out there they were saying Boston robbed this and Boston robbed that, but he was on Deal or No Deal Island. So I'm like, he's gonna show up. He's gonna show up out here. You know what I'm saying? I never thought it'd be Parvati. And then, you know, I would look at spoilers to see if anybody had said anything, but I hadn't seen anything. And then the funny thing was when we landed in Scotland, we still were able to keep our phones for a couple of days. And then my family texted me like, oh my God, there's something about Traitor spoilers that Larsa Pippen and Marcus Jordan are going over there because they had small clips of their adventure traveling to Scotland and going to the castle and taking pictures and this, that, and the third. So people already knew those two were coming, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I was on the plane in Inverness, flying into Inverness, I was with Peter and Kevin. And I just saw Peter's suitcase said United on it. So I looked up reality star that works for United, and Peter shows up. And I'm like,
the pilot.
He's a Bachelor.
No way.
But I don't watch it, you know?
Right.
I figured out who Peter was immediately.
So who would you say was one of your closest friends that you became friends with on the show? That you didn't even suspect, or one or two?
Let me see. And this is today alone. I think I made a bunch of friends because I talked to Phaedra today. I talked to Sheree. I talked to Trishelle, and I talked to MJ.
Okay.
Just today.
Okay. So, and I know you were close with Peppermint, or are close with Peppermint too. And I love Trishelle on there because she is right on the money.
Yeah, but Trishelle is lucky I wasn't a traitor.
Right, because you would have got rid of her immediately.
For her putting seeds of doubt in other people's heads, whether she's only said my name or not, murder or get her back.
I know. I can't believe she's still in there.
Because that is so detrimental to a traitor when someone else is saying your name.
So what happened? Why Kevin over Trishelle? Because it should have been Trishelle.
Oh, because Kevin, since he left the cabin last, and CT came for him and came for me and Parvati because we were still messing with the rats in the box. Mm-hmm. He guided us out. And so Kevin, we knew for a fact, never went into any of the rooms to get the shield. Okay. So Kevin was the safest bet. And we discussed that the night before when I'm telling Phaedra, Peter's behaving like I said a bad word, like Peter something, you know, he's a traitor. He's got to go.
Right. Okay. We figured that he might've been the safest bet. But Trishelle could have had the shield
because he was scared to go down in the tunnels and, you know, in talking like, oh my God, what do you think will happen tomorrow? And I remember saying like, well, I know who doesn't have the shield.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense. Because we were wondering why. Yeah. We were wondering why they didn't try to take a shot at Trishelle. We figured someone had to have said something to one of them that would make them think that Trishelle doesn't have a shield. So that makes sense.
Okay. And so we are now at the cliffhanger. Oh, what about the challenge? Was the challenge?
Yeah, the challenge.
What, the shooting?
The thing was that those things are like pencil sticks.
Yeah.
And half of them didn't even have a point on them.
Oh, so they like bounced off because it looked like they were bouncing off. So they didn't have like a blade. Like they weren't like darts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And early on, we decided, okay, just move it a little bit this way, a little bit that way, because we were losing money. But and then after you shoot it, you just have what's left, and then they'd reset and bring all the little sticks back, and then you grab one and you're like, this one is curved. This one has a point.
How long did that challenge take?
Oh man, we were there for a while. I want to say close to 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Alan was laughing at us and our money was just dwindling.
Right. And that church is right up the street. That's where we were in that church. And those people with the masks, I'm like, oh gosh, not the church again. Here we go. With the confessionals. And
that's the church.
Phaedra's favorite place, the church.
Yeah, that's the church that Peter, Peppermint, Sheree, and I were parked outside of on day one several times. Like they do footage and park us. And it was called the Highland Council Church. And so that's where we got our alliance name of THC, the Highland Council.
Oh, that's funny. That is so funny. Yeah, it's right out the gates to the left, right? So funny. Oh my gosh. All right. So now they leave us with a cliffhanger, and the only vote left is MJ. So how there's 9 people left. There's 11 episodes. So there's going to be somebody, 2 more episodes. So we're thinking there's going to be like, obviously they're going to show who, gets banished, the start of episode 10. Then there's going to be another a murder, a banishment, a murder. So there's going to be 4 people. And then what? There's going to be 5 people left on the last episode? Or you can't tell us?
I'm not going to tell you.
Are there more twists? Are there a lot more twists? Because this is like all of a sudden somebody doesn't get banished. Now we get to recruit and murder.
Recruit and murder.
Well, we all know that the game, like after when there's only 4 people left, and you leave the banishment table, and then you start throwing the red and the green bags outside. We all know that. So that's at 4 people, and we still have
how 9.
Many
9
going into the last episode.
Peter or Phaedra are about to go, so
then
probably
we'll
Peter. Then we'll be at 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then there's 2 episodes, and then your live show, right?
Yeah, and I think we're doing that a whole week before even the final episode.
Oh, really?
So you're doing that soon? You're going to New York for that?
Yeah, no, to LA.
Oh. You're doing it in LA.
So they're not going to have seen the finale before they so they don't even know what the finale
happen unless they're going to show it to us.
They should show it to you guys at least.
The last episode while we do the reunion.
Right.
Yeah, you got to see the last episode, at least see how it airs on TV.
Well, that was a huge part of last reunion was with Ari, and I don't think he was very happy with how that was shown, with what happened with him and that finale presented a lot of drama at the reunion. So I would want you guys to see it so it reignites those emotions and gets drama.
There was a lot of drama. Quentin, Andy, Ari. Oof.
Sandra, what'd you think of season 1?
Because they haven't been in these situations before. Had they been gamers and come off another show where the chances of you going home are pretty high, then it would be different. But when they come into these games assuming, I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to win, and then that doesn't happen, they have to blame someone for their game. And when you look back on that season, every time I would see, for instance, Quentin talking a whole bunch at the round table, I'd be like, murder,
right,
murder.
Right. He was so wrong every time he talked. And Sheree's so smart.
Look, I was telling my daughter, I was like, somebody asked me what kind of traitor would I have been, and I was like, man, I'd probably make the season boring because people would be scared to talk at the round table. Frightened. Talk at this round table if you want to, see if I don't murder you. All that stuff about, I can say what I want to say and then I'll take all the heat and they won't murder me. I don't play like that.
I know. Well, that's the thing. That's why it's amazing, because Trishelle and Peter are really putting themselves out there, and I cannot believe they've made it this far. Because I was very quiet for a very long time too, because I was like, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I opened my mouth at the second round table when we went after Max, and in what I saw, every single time the words peppermint jumped up on the slate, Max was right there to my left, smiling. And then I'm like, Peter, look at him. He's smiling. And I had read a book about body language, and it was called Duping Delight. When a criminal has duped everyone, that they can't help but to smile and have all this joy over what they've accomplished, but they don't realize they're smiling. Right? So I'm like, oh my God, Duping Delight. He's over here just he's so happy that we got Peppermint out and that we thought it was Peppermint. And that's why I went hard. Deontay and I went hard on Max on the second round table. And then I took a step back. I was like, oh no, I can't play like this because I was wrong. He was a faithful. And I was like, switch gears, Sandra. You can't come in here running your mouth about what you saw, what you heard. And I'm like, depending on what it is, I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah. No, Serena's played that kind of a game too. Hey, speaking of Deontay, can you say anything about what really happened to him? Where he went? He just disappeared.
Once everyone went up to their rooms in the castle, we never saw him again. And he really took the Peppermint and Max banishment, like it really took a toll on him.
Okay.
I was told it was some kind of trauma that resurfaced.
Okay. So he just took himself out of the game.
I don't know how it all went down. I just know we never saw him after that.
Wow.
Berkey said that he did. It triggered an event in his life where he was like wrongly accused of something that he didn't do.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it brought back some trauma, and then he left the show.
Wow. Okay. So is Kate just like hanging out at like the hotel by Inverness waiting to get on, or what's happening? Like where?
I guess they flew her in. Yeah. They knew they were going to bring her in mid-season or whatever. I think she knew she was coming to the show halfway through, whether Deontay left or not. I don't think that had anything to do with anything.
Okay.
So she knew everybody, like she knew the cast.
Yeah, she knew a lot about you guys.
Yeah, doesn't seem very fair, does it?
Well, she wouldn't have seen it on TV only if she would have known. Well, the cast would have been revealed.
The cast was leaked, so she could have done her homework on you guys.
Right now.
She was smart. I mean, we kind of did something like that. We had like a break because something happened and we were like all scrambling and trying to figure out who people were.
Well, I remember Sheree telling me that that at the cabin in the woods, while we were in the tunnels, that and at that time Kate wasn't a traitor, but Kate was like, Sandra has to be a traitor. Like these survivor people have to be traitors, you know?
Oh.
So yeah, but then she ends up being the traitor and realizes the only traitor there is Phaedra, you know. So
but she says the same thing as you. She's like, okay, so how many more were there? Like she thought there were more than 3 too. So you all must have thought.
I'm telling you, from day one, after Alan picked the traitors, we assumed it was 3 traitors,
and one was recruited. Because they told us there could be up to 5, so we never knew either. But if there were 3, 4, or 5, but everybody that we've talked to or heard interviews of, everybody thinks there's 4, 3 plus 1 recruited.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So
did Alan say something that said? Did Alan say like they're up to 4, or did he?
No, I think because they give us rules. If you read the rules, it'll say something to that effect, up to 5 people or whatever. So you don't really know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys were told the same thing that Steph's group was told.
Yeah, probably the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other tricks? Anything you did? You went back to your room. Did you keep a spreadsheet on your wall of like murder suspects, or
no? I just had my trusty little notebook that I took myself, and then we had a sheet that they gave us with all the pictures of people that I like write and highlight on. Like this was all my stuff. So,
they didn't give us that.
Yeah, and we had like what you wore for certain missions. Like
we got that.
Who everybody was, because we would forget what the names were.
Yeah, see, we didn't get any of that. Me too. I was calling everybody the wrong name. I asked Rachel like everything. I was like, okay, which one was this? Because I only knew her from Snake in the Grass, so she screwed me on Snake in the Grass anyway. So,
but everything they pretty much any paper that they gave me, like this was for the Ekansu funeral, like what we were gonna wear and all the outfits. So.
Wow. How'd you like the food there? Did you like it?
I kind of liked the breakfast, but I hated everything else only because it was a lot of potato this and potato that. But I would complain. I'm like, who is running that kitchen? Because it was like one day they brought us pancakes, no syrup. Then they'd bring toast and there was like no milk, like no butter. Like the butter is hard, or there wouldn't be no butter, no jelly or nothing. It's just a piece of bread. Or they'd forget the salt or the pepper, or they'd bring coffee. you were lucky if you had milk or creamer today, and then there's no sugar. Like it was just off. And then I started complaining about the eggs. I'm like, yo, I'm always the last one, with the exception of last night. I was always one of the last ones at breakfast, and there was no boiled eggs and no salmon left.
I can't believe you guys had food on that table. We didn't even have food on the table. Hardly.
Oh no, we had real food. That's when we had our breakfast.
We had breakfast before we came in. And then that was like fake food. And we did have coffee though. But you guys had like way more alcohol than us. Did you guys get like a lot of alcohol?
I'm not a drinker like they are, but after the round table, the alcohol wouldn't come out until everything was shut down.
Okay, us too. All right, us too. Then I guess it was the same.
It was 2 drinks max.
That's what it was for us too. Okay.
And I couldn't get a drink for someone to hand it over. Like that's not allowed.
No, yeah, us too. Okay. Because Brandy was like wanting like martinis, and that wasn't happening. Go ahead.
Off that point, did anyone pick up on the Ekansu murder in plain sight?
No, because that day we also had platters of appetizers that were passed around, little finger foods. So we didn't know if you were poisoned by the food or by the drinks, and everyone had different plates of different little things we were tasting. So we did not know. They set that up good. They did.
They did, because it looked so obvious. Parvati looked so obvious, but again, just editing. She did too. I thought Parvati did a great job. I really did. I thought she kept a really great demeanor. I mean, she was calling Peter out. It's hard to be put in that position, and she made light of it. I thought she came off pretty endearing, to be honest.
She did a good job there. I mean, listen, I give Dan and Parvati and Phaedra their props as traitors. Yeah, I didn't like what Dan did to Phaedra. But Parvati and Phaedra, they did an awesome job. And I get it. I think I'm more of a blunt person, so there probably wouldn't be a lot of talk. I'd be like, no, he's getting murdered and that's it. Like,
right.
So yeah, but and that's the thing. Like people are like, Sandra, I want to see you more. Well, here's the thing: the traitors get half of the episode. Everything is dependent on the traitors, so their role is going to be way bigger on TV than anybody else.
Yeah, they get a lot of airtime, and you're not one of those people that's just there just to cause drama, just to get on TV. No, like you're literally there.
I'm going to say it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like I don't sugarcoat nothing. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
Exactly.
So I'm not quiet at all. It's just maybe what I said wasn't relevant, or maybe somebody had juicier stuff to say, or it just didn't go with the flow of what was going on.
Right. Yeah. I think you're doing a great job. You're still in there. You're going into episode 10 now?
Yeah, we're going to episode 10.
All right.
Episode 10.
You're hanging in. You're hanging in.
Hanging in.
I can't wait.
Sandra, did you know anyone coming into this other than Parvati?
I knew Janelle. I knew Dan. I knew of CT Bananas and not Trishelle. I've never watched The Housewives. I've never watched anything on Bravo. And like I told people when I first met Max, the first thing he told me was that he was the most famous person in the castle. And then I asked him, I was like, so what did you do to prepare? He was like, oh, I just watched 2 episodes and it was enough. And I'm looking like, not enough at all.
No.
2 episodes don't tell you diddly squat about how to play this game.
No.
But I was told some people didn't even do that. Some people watch zip, zero, zilch.
That's what happened on our season. Ryan Lochte watched nothing. Like he knew nothing about it. And he was fine with it. I was like, I think you need to know what's going on a little bit.
Yeah, you got to come on. You got to know something.
Right?
Or we'll steamroll over you. We'll run you over. We'll run you over with the bus, back up, run you over some more. Like, you got to roll with the punches. And if you don't know what's going on, and that's why I made my point of letting, the traitors, hey, hopefully the traitors are on our side, are on the leftovers, because this is what we need to happen. Our traitors cannot allow, if there's a traitor over here on the most faithful of the faithfuls, to take over, because then you're screwed.
That was so smart. You planted the seed well there, and it's working. because your numbers are intact. You guys have the numbers. The leftovers are in control of the game for sure.
Sandra, what wasn't shown in this episode or earlier in the season that you were very surprised or you think should have been shown? What should we know?
My traitor angels, come on. I'm constantly like, my traitor angels are protecting me. What happened that wasn't shown? Because we do a lot of confessionals, like before breakfast, after breakfast, and I hated before breakfast confessionals because I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna open the door and there's gonna be that damn murder letter, you know? Like I was in the room with Tamara when Tamara got murdered, and then I never wanted to go in that room again because I was like, that's the murder room. Like I ain't going in that room. And then they put me in the room and then they'd be like, come out. And I'm like, oh my God, am I about to be murdered? You know,
that's the worst.
For me, the best part was always coming out and going to the top of the stairs and waiting for someone else to come out of a different room and then to say, you're
Walk
making
down.
it to breakfast. And I'm like, I'm not murdered.
Right. That is the worst. I couldn't even eat at breakfast. Like before, we would get it in our rooms before, and there would be like a little, my nerves were so shot. And even once I knew I wasn't murdered, then I still couldn't eat. My stomach was still a wreck because you're like holding your breath. It's awful.
Yeah. Because murder is when you find out if you're making it to breakfast or not. And whoever doesn't make it to breakfast goes and gets the murder letter, you know?
Right.
So like,
and I think that's what happened to Kate.
That red outfit and didn't even get to come to breakfast.
Oh my God. Wait, and Kate, like, I think she had a flip, like she almost had a flip reaction to it. Like she made it to breakfast as a traitor, and then she couldn't even like gather herself because now she was trying to like be the different role of a traitor now versus faithful.
I should have took into account. I should have thought more along the lines of she didn't brush her hair because she didn't have time because she was out there doing traitor stuff all night long. You know?
Yes.
Phaedra
Seriously.
always came in put together, so you can't never say like Phaedra looked crazy today. No,
that's how Sari was. Yes, Sari looked well rested, put together. I'm like thinking to myself, I do think she is the traitor because there's got to be one of the celebrities, but and Kate looked disheveled all the time. Like half her makeup wasn't on. She'd do it like after breakfast. And I'm like, Kate kind of like looks exhausted. Like she had spent. So yeah, the whole not brushing your hair.
Catch on to that. I was like, that's just, you know, like.
Well, it didn't work for us anyway.
It's so obvious in hindsight. But when you're there, you don't see that, you know, or where people would be like, you didn't see Parvati making that face. I'm like, oh, was I in the same room with Parvati? Was anyone talking? Because if someone's talking, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at, while this person's talking, let me see who's making faces and eye twitches. You don't do that. You're listening to what's being said because you don't know if it's something that pertains or is pertinent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The castle is big. There's a lot of rooms. You're not in every single room at all times. So therefore you have to take into account this secondhand information from people that were there or hearsay, you know?
Yeah.
So no, listen, it's not that easy.
It's not. Hindsight's 2020, and it looks way easier sitting at home on the couch watching this after you see the perfect edit going on than it is when you're really in the game trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like it's a really hard game. Speaking of, we're going to have to do this on a ship with people in a large scale. This is going to be interesting.
I'm excited. I just want the games to be, you know, great games, you know. When I throw together my Survivor Christmas and Surviving Thanksgiving here at my house, my family can't wait to play.
Right. So you're going to be good at it, I think. You're going to be a great team leader. And I've got half your family on my team. So I expect to be a good team leader. Well,
and I got 2 more that signed up yesterday, but now they're like number 6 on your list.
Oh, that's all right. Because they need to go on like Team Michael. He's going to be good. He's going to be good because he's going to be a leader. He's not going to be in the game because he wasn't good in our game because he was so like, he looked shady because he's a little anxious, but he's good. He's like a gamer type. He has that mentality. Mm-hmm. Tell them to sign up for him. He would be good.
Well, they went on Team Andy. They're on Team Andy.
Okay, Andy's good. Well, I don't know. Andy was a little naive.
But they're still, if anybody flakes from your team, they're going to jump. They're going to be right up there, so.
I've had a bunch of people message me though, too. And I've directed them to other teams because they just got to get in the game because we're all going to hang out. We're all going to play the game. We're all going to cross over. And,
I just didn't want my family and my team because it wouldn't be fair. Like,
okay.
Like,
yeah.
It just, they need to be separate together.
Okay.
That's like, it wouldn't be right if I picked one of them to be, like it's.
I'm not picking the traitors though. I talked to Michael and apparently they're going to pick them because I don't want to be responsible.
Oh, I was under the assumption that anyone wanting to be a traitor would send in videos to their team leaders and that we would pick who we wanted for the first traitors. And then it was on to them to recruit and do whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm sending that to the cruise people because I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to slip up. I do like to have drinks and have a good time. And I can see myself being out and like whatever and being like, so you're a traitor. What do you think? And then somebody hears me and forget it.
Oh,
so I'm not going to be part of it. Of the picking.
I get it.
It's the Cruise of Deception.
That's
Sandra,
right.
For those who don't know, can you explain the Cruise of Deception? You guys have teased it a little bit.
Stephenie should explain it. She knows more than me. I just go off whatever Stephenie says.
Okay, so the Cruise of Deception is a cruise going to Jamaica from Florida a year from now, next April. If you go to the website, it'll give you all the details. But basically, we're playing the game of Traitors on the cruise ship. There's 13 teams. Sandra and I are team leaders. There's Janelle's there, Bergie's there, Rachel's there, and a bunch of other people from Traitors season 1. And there's only 100 spots per team. So the cruise ship holds like 6,500 people, but only about 1,300 people are going to have the opportunity to play the game. There's going to be a challenge or a couple challenges each day. And there's going to be banishments and murders. There's going to be traitors and
shields.
And opportunities for shields. There's going to be traitors and faithfuls on each team. We are the Alan Cummings of our team. We are the team leaders. We are going to help guide you. We may compete in some of the challenges, but more importantly, we're literally just going to have a good time with you. And there's up to $50,000 to win. So if you sign up and you go on that website, you can sign up. You can put a deposit down to secure your spot. You don't have to pay for the entire cruise, which is very affordable actually right now, but you can save your spot.
And the deposit is $400, and that's for the two people together combined. So 200 and 200, that's $400. And then you have all the way till January of 2025 to make the final payment. You have to have it paid by January. So that gives you plenty of time to hold your spot and make your payments.
That's right. But Sandra's team as of now is full. My team is full. Rachel's team is full. Janelle's team's full. Bergie's team's full. And I think Amanda's is almost full, and so is Michael's. So secure your spot before all of the teams are full.
Yeah, and then just make payments. You don't have to go to Burger King and McDonald's every day. You don't have to go get them Starbucks drinks. Make payments to your cruise on a monthly basis, and before you know it, we'll be sailing and having a great time.
That's right. I had so many friends saying to me, like, I would love to do a class. I'm like, you know what? Life's too short. Save $10 a day. You've got a year. It's an affordable cruise. Take the trip. That's my whole motto now. Like, I have so many things going on. We have kids, we're busy, we work. But you know what? It can be over in an instant. So life's too short. Book the trip. Get on the plane. Get on a bus. Get on the train. Get in your car. Come on the ship.
Yeah, we're leaving out of Fort Lauderdale.
That's right. Fort Lauderdale to Jamaica. There's a couple stops in between.
It's Coco Cay and Haiti.
Yep. And Oasis of the Seas, 4th largest ship in the world. And there's going to be, and it's not just the game. You're going to get to do shows, dinners, excursions. You're going to get to have like a cruise as well.
Yeah. Because we're only going to play, I think, minimum 2 hours a day, which some of the games I'm sure will go over.
Right.
And then there's one game towards the end, which I think is like about 5 hours minimum. Right. So I'm definitely going and being flexible. I know how things are. When I told my husband we were going on the cruise, I was like, baby, but I'm going to be working, so you might not see me that much. And he was like, even better, sign me up. So I was like, okay.
There's 3 casinos on the ship. I mean, there's so much to do. It is like a whole city on a ship. Mm-hmm. I've never been on a cruise like this, so I'm actually really excited.
Yeah.
Check out the Cruise of Deception. It's www.cruiseofdeception.com if you're watching here on YouTube. The link is right there on the screen. All right, Sandra, what do you have going on? You want to plug your social media handles or anything else you want to add?
I'm Sassy SDT at Instagram. On X, I think I'm Sandra the Queen. People steal my name, so then I can't even use my own name.
I think I know your Twitter. It's at Sandra D-Twine.
Oh, is it? Yes. Oh, so where am I Sandra the Queen at?
I don't know. Are you on TikTok or what else do you do?
Yeah, I have TikTok. I started TikToking about my braces, but then I quit halfway through.
We're old schoolers. This
And
stuff wasn't around.
I'm on Facebook under like Survivor Sandra Diaz-Twine. That's mine. Because I have my personal on Facebook, but I keep that like straight personal. And then anything else is, but I have the Facebook, the Instagram, the X, and I joined Threads, but I don't do anything there. That's when everybody was screaming about leaving Twitter.
Yeah.
I joined it too.
I don't see what it really serves unless you want your stuff censored more.
Oh,
yeah, I was like,
great.
Well, and I took my name just before anybody else took it, so I jumped on it.
Smart.
Yeah. Smart.
But yeah, other than I really don't have much going on. My husband's retired.
Well, keep watching the Traitors. Sandra, thank you so much.
Traitors. That's right. That's what I'm here for. Keep watching the Traitors.
That's right. Sandra, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Now I'm going to get to my spaghetti. I'm going to stick it in my grave. Bye, guys.
Bye, Sandra. All right, let's wrap things up here, Steph.
I think I got
before we do. What was that?
I think I got through my whole list.
Perfect. How about that? Okay. Before we say goodbye for today's show, we just have to address this cliffhanger and kind of make our predictions for next week. First things first, I'm not a fan of any cliffhangers. This was a perfect episode up until the cliffhanger. It was so well done. There was so much good storytelling. There was so much socializing that we got to see. We got to see so much in this. And then now we're going to have a cliffhanger. And I don't like cliffhangers because cliffhangers send a message to me, whether intentional or not, means that you don't trust that the audience is going to keep watching otherwise. So just give us the full episode. Let's get the full episode. Let's see what happens. But what do you think happens? It's coming down to MJ now. We've got 4 votes.
I'm hoping because MJ started calling out Kate being shady and she's being a little more vocal. I'm really hoping she starts hearing CT at the roundtable and Trishelle, and she flips from the leftovers to the most faithful of the faithfuls, and they get rid of Phaedra. And I love Phaedra. It's nothing against you, Phaedra. It's just because,
Team Faithful.
This is the name of the
Faithfuls
game.
for life.
I'm a faithful, or I was a faithful, and I would like to see the faithfuls win this time. Yes. But I don't know. I'm like torn. I was definitely thinking that was going to happen. But now I'm like worried that it's going to be Peter.
Well, the cliffhanger makes me think that it is going to be Peter. Because I feel like if it's going to be Phaedra, you'd have this like perfect episode that concludes with like this sort of blindside. It goes down to MJ. It shakes things up a little more. And like, I don't know why you do a cliffhanger if MJ doesn't flip. Sometimes you get these deceptive things where they make it look like she is going to flip. And then the other thing is, we got to talk about this. People on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, they've been tweeting at us and they were saying there's a promo from like this season on the Traitors. There's a video of Phaedra like standing on a platform in the water. We've not seen that challenge yet. So people are saying that they've already spoiled this and that Phaedra sticks around because we haven't seen that yet.
It ends up being Peter. And another thing we never mentioned was how about her line? Her line to Peter.
Oh my gosh. I am not going to kiss your behind for a rose. It was great.
This is not The Bachelor. And I do not have to kiss you for a rose. I was like, wow, how long has she been thinking about that for? Or does that just roll off the tongue? Like, wow.
I think that's just Phaedra. I think she's very quick-witted. I think she came up with that.
I think so too. Yeah,
but
I think so too.
Peter took great offense to it. He was very upset. So I'd love to know, was there more that was said that got him really worked up?
There was definitely more, but to Peter's, to give him a little props. He handled it very well. He was not super crazy emotional. It was not a screaming match. He was very respectful. And he was just like, wow, that really makes me angry.
And also, how about John's speech? That was a great speech.
Yes, that was so good. And how about him saying that this is way more difficult than being in the parliament? Because they lobby all the time, politicians.
Peter saying that he likes the Traitors more than the Bachelor.
Yeah, well, I know. And then Kate's like, really? That was interesting. Those two walking down the hall together. Oh, and then did you see the little comment between CT and Kate? CT says to Kate, are you starting to like me now? And she goes, yeah, I think I am. I'm like, uh-oh. Kate moving in on CT now? Uh-oh. We shall see.
Killing the ladies.
CT, the lady killer.
And he's not a traitor.
No. So if it ends up being Peter, we've got CT, Trishelle.
All right, I got my list
John.
here. So
that's it.
So you got the two traitors, Phaedra and Kate, and they can murder somebody. So do they just do the Trishelle murder now? Do they do CT? Do they do John? Because I don't know why you murder from your own group at this point in the game.
They're gonna Trishelle's if Peter goes, I think Trishelle goes next. And then all that's left is Phaedra. Let me see.
Phaedra,
Sandra,
Kate, MJ, Sandra, Sheree, and CT, and John. So 2 men and 5 ladies.
I think it comes down to Phaedra, Kate, Sandra, MJ, Sheree, CT, and John. I think Trishelle and Peter are gone, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
So then who gets banished next?
So I think Phaedra finally goes. I think then Phaedra goes. And then murder... I don't know who Kate would murder. At that point, it's too late in the game. Kate cannot recruit. So Kate murders somebody, and it's down to... There's 4.
So
5,
you're saying...
5 people left.
So you think Phaedra gets banished, so then you got MJ, Sandra, Sheree, and CT. Kate can murder one of them.
And John.
And John. In this hypothetical. So you got 5 options.
Oh. Yeah, Trishelle and...
We said Trishelle got murdered already.
Correct. So yeah, it comes down to CT, John, Sandra, MJ, and Sheree. And she probably gets rid of Sandra or John because I don't know how tight Sandra and Kate are. I bet she gets rid of Sandra thinking Sandra's good on Survivor and is going to figure her out.
Well, I won't predict that far in advance because I don't know if we'll even get a murder. Well, if we'll get 2 murders in the next episode or what.
You're going to have to. There's only 2 episodes left. And even that leaves it with 5 people.
Right. Well, yeah, I think... So, okay, so you think Kate will murder Sandra at the end of next episode. Or I guess, yeah.
Sandra or John. Like, she's not going to murder... Mm-hmm. Oh, unless MJ is onto her.
Yeah, MJ could be. Yeah. I think Sandra's in a good spot. I don't think it's going to be Sandra. I think Sandra's going to get to the finale. I think it's going to be... I think it's either going to be John or MJ. Because for some reason, they were showing some of this stuff where Kate was looking suspicious and MJ called her out on it. There's a reason they included that in the episode.
Yeah, that's going to play a part.
That should come into play later.
Mm-hmm, that's definitely going to come into play.
All right.
Well, it's going to be a good next couple of weeks. We will be back here
next week.
Next Thursday.
Yeah. Well, the episode doesn't come out till Friday, but we're going to tape on Thursday. And she is at Steph _LaGrossa _Kendrick on Instagram, the Survivor legend.
Thank you.
Yes,
follow me there. I've got a lot of things going on. I'm doing random lives with friends. And under my link, great friends. Always great friends. Under my link tree is everything I have going on, different like brand ambassadorships and things like that. And anything in the future that I have going on, I will be updating there. So
then you guys can follow me. Follow her on Instagram. You guys can follow me at Jack Vita Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Subscribe to the Jack Vita Show here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Leave us a comment. Leave us some questions for next week. Give us your predictions for next week. What do you guys think will happen? We'll be back next week to break it all down. Until then, I'm Jack Vita alongside Stephenie LaGrossa Kendrick, bringing the Dance of Lobsters.